The morning sunlight spilled through the enormous windows of the Beaumont estate, casting long golden beams across the marble floors. But even the soft glow of a new day couldn't mask the exhaustion carved deep into Aldrich Beaumont's frail face. For months, this elderly man had lived in a silent, suffocating agony. He moved through the mansion not as the patriarch he once was, but like a shadow gripping his lower back, wincing with every trembling step and hiding his pain behind a forced, brittle smile. Whenever his son, the millionaire businessman Rowan, came home, Aldrich would straighten his spine just enough to play the part. Rowan, blinded by the demands of his empire, believed the lie. He thought his father was simply aging. He thought the aches were just the inevitable rust of time, and the tired eyes were just the weight of 70 years. But that illusion was destined to shatter. It happened on a bright, ordinary afternoon when Rowan returned unexpectedly and witnessed what no son should ever have to see behind his back. Before we continue this story of betrayal and redemption, if you believe in second chances and the importance of protecting our elders, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And tell us, in the comments deeply, where are you watching from today? Rowan was a man hardened by corporate battles, yet he had a soft spot for the man who had raised him alone after his mother passed away. Aldrich had once been a pillar of strength, energetic and full of thunderous laughter. But lately, that laughter had faded into a whisper. He often told Rowan he was fine, brushing off concerns, insisting he didn't want to be a burden. And Rowan trusted. He trusted that his young, elegant wife, Celine, was caring for him during the long hours Rowan spent traveling. But the signs were there, written in the margins of their lives: bruises on Aldrich's thin arms, untouched meals left cold on the counter, a limp that grew heavier by the day. Celine always had an answer, smooth and rehearsed. He's forgetful. He's clumsy. He refuses my help. And because Rowan wanted peace, he believed her. Until that one afternoon. Rowan had wrapped up a meeting early, a rare occurrence. He wanted to surprise his family with a slow lunch. But as he parked in the private driveway and stepped into the cool air of the foyer, he sensed something uneasy. A stillness that felt too heavy for such a bright day. He walked through the hallways quietly, the sound of his own heartbeat seemingly louder than his footsteps. Then he heard it. A faint sound echoing down the corridor, a strained, broken voice murmuring apologies. The sound was coming from the guest bathroom near the east wing. Rowan's pace slowed. His hand trembled as he reached for the door, pushing it open just a crack. The sight inside didn't just shock him, it broke him. The bathroom was pristine, blinding with white marble and gold fixtures. But there, on the cold, hard floor, knelt Aldrich. He was sweating, trembling, struggling to scrub a toilet with the stiffness of a man in unbearable physical torment. His back was hunched unnaturally, his ribs visible through a worn gray shirt. But what stopped Rowan's heart was the weight on his father's chest. Hanging from his neck was a heavy beige carrier holding 2 sleeping infants, Rowan's twins from his previous marriage. Celine had insisted Aldrich could handle them, that it made him feel useful. But this wasn't usefulness. This was torture. Aldrich's knuckles shook white as he wiped the porcelain, every motion sending a bolt of agony through his frail frame. And standing over him was Celine. She was dressed in an expensive maroon dress, arms crossed, her eyes cold like polished stone. She didn't scream. She didn't yell. She simply tapped her high heel impatiently, her voice slicing through the air with a cruelty sharper than a knife. She told him to stop complaining. She told him to work faster. Rowan watched, frozen, as his father muttered apologies like a frightened child, terrified to disappoint her. It was then that Rowan realized his father wasn't just in physical pain, he was in emotional captivity. Aldrich suddenly winced, his body seizing up, and he slumped forward, nearly collapsing under the weight of the twins. Celine didn't help. She rolled her eyes, complaining that he was getting slower, telling him he was lucky to live under this roof at all. Rowan pushed the door fully open. The sound was like a thunderclap in the small room. Aldrich looked up with wide, terrified eyes, and Celine paled, the color draining from her face as she saw her husband standing there, witnessing the darkness she thought was safely hidden. Something inside Rowan snapped. The betrayal wasn't just marital, it was human. He didn't say a word to her initially. He moved instantly to his father. He lifted the old man gently, feeling the unnatural stiffness in his bones, the deep flinch that suggested months of fear. Aldrich tried to protest, his voice cracking, insisting he was fine. But Rowan held him tighter, tears burning his eyes, refusing to let him go. He carried his father out of that bathroom, leaving Celine speechless in the middle of her own reflection-filled cruelty. Once they were in the safety of the sunlight in Aldrich's bedroom, Rowan finally demanded the truth, and it came out in painful, jagged pieces. How Celine made him clean daily, how she refused to allow the house staff near him, how she withheld meals as punishment and guilt tripped him into silence by telling him that complaining would make Rowan think he was ungrateful. It was abuse wrapped in manipulation. Aldrich had endured it all just to keep peace in his son's marriage. Rowan's grief turned into a quiet, terrifying fury. He called his attorney. He gathered the security footage. He confronted Celine, not with arguments, but with the finality of a judge passing a sentence. He removed her from their lives completely. The divorce was swift, public, and irreversible. Celine tried to defend herself, but the images of a trembling old man on his knees spoke a truth louder than any of her rehearsed words. The days that followed were slow, but they were healing. Rowan hired a full-time medical caregiver for Aldrich. He restored the warmth to the mansion. He spent his afternoons sitting in the garden, listening to the old stories he had once been too busy to hear. He realized that wealth meant absolutely nothing if the people he loved were suffering in silence. Aldrich regained his strength over time. The twins adored him, clinging to him not as a burden, but like little planets orbiting a universe that was finally allowed to rest. As for Rowan, he rebuilt not just his family, but himself. He learned to see beyond polished smiles, to question what lies behind closed doors, and to cherish his loved ones loudly while they are still here to hear it. We often think that providing a house is the same as providing a home, but safety is more than just walls. It is the absence of fear. So, I leave you with this question. If you were in Rowan's shoes, would you have ever found it in your heart to forgive Celine, or would you have walked away forever? Let us know in the comments below. Remember, always look closer at the ones you love. Thanks for watching.